If you're waiting to have money in order to feel successful, you have already lost the battle. I have observed a silent law that governs the lives of men, a law not taught in school, but one that defines who achieves their dreams and who watches them slowly fade away. It is not the smartest who triumphs. It is not the one who works the hardest. It is the one who first believes he already is. Perhaps you have been following the right steps. You wake up early. You study. You do affirmations. You work with discipline. But something still isn't working. What if I told you the problem isn't in what you do, but in what you assume you are? Because your outer world does not respond to your efforts. It responds to your identity. And in this video, you're going to discover how Napoleon Hill taught men to live as if they had already won before winning. Welcome to the Code of Napoleon Hill. If you have ever felt destined for more, but the world seems not to notice, this video is for you. We are not here to entertain you. We are here to remind you who you are and to reveal the invisible laws that govern success, wealth, and personal fulfillment. So breathe deeply, because what you are about to hear can change the way you see money, your mind, and your destiny. I have walked among brilliant men, men with talent, strength, education, ideas. And yet, I have seen them fail. Why? Because they thought like poor men, even when they were already living as professionals. Because they felt insecure, even when surrounded by opportunities. Because they waited for proof before allowing themselves to believe. But let me tell you this with absolute clarity. No man becomes great after he achieves. He becomes great when he convinces himself that he already is. Napoleon Hill taught this with precision. Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But many forget that second word, believe. It is not enough to dream. It is not enough to visualize. If you do not deeply believe in what you already are, your mind will not move a single brick in your favor. Have you ever wondered why? Even if you repeat affirmations every day, you feel unchanged? It is because you're saying them from the wrong identity. Because it is not enough to say, I am abundant. You must feel abundant. Everything you see in your life, your bank account, your relationships, your opportunities, they are not causes. They are consequences. They are the echo of your self-concept. They are the reflection of what you, in silence, assume you deserve. Hill discovered this by interviewing over 500 millionaires. And among them all, there was an invisible pattern. Wealth was not what made them feel successful. Their feeling of success was what led them to wealth. Most people do this backward. They wait to make money to feel secure. They wait to have a relationship to feel loved. They wait for someone to give them permission to feel valuable. But it doesn't work that way, because the outer world always arrives after the inner state. You want to change your world? Then don't start with the bank account. Start with who you are being when you look at it. One of the most ignored truths by those who wish to attain success is this. You must act as if you already are the person you desire to be. Not tomorrow. Not when things get better. Now. Napoleon Hill did not teach to wait for results. He taught to embody them before they appear. And this is not arrogance. This is causation. Faith is the state of inner certainty that precedes all external manifestation. Imagine this. A man desires to be rich, but he thinks like a poor man. He speaks like a poor man. He behaves like a poor man. Then what do you think the universe understands? That this man has already decided who he is. And everything in his environment will adjust to confirm that identity. Because life does not give you what you want. It gives you what you assume you already are. When Hill spoke of definiteness of purpose, he didn't just mean having a clear goal. He meant living with a definite consciousness, moving with the energy of one who has already achieved what he seeks. Let me tell you straight, if you are waiting to have in order to be, you will live trapped, always one step behind. Always with the sensation that something is missing. But if today you choose to be, then the having will arrive as a consequence. This is what Hill called the power of autosuggestion. It is not about repeating empty phrases. It is about imbuing yourself with a new idea of yourself until your body, your language, your voice, and your spirit speak that new language. That is why true change does not begin with action. It begins with assumption. And to act as if is not to lie to yourself. It is to reveal yourself. It is to remember the version of you that already exists. That part that is not waiting for results to feel secure, but that already feels chosen. This is what the greatest men Hill interviewed did. Henry Ford behaved as a leader before he was recognized as one. Andrew Carnegie spoke as a magnate before he had a cent. Thomas Edison believed his invention would work before he had any proof. And you, are you willing to act from the end before seeing the path? Or will you keep waiting for life to give you permission to believe? If your inner state does not change, your outer world never can. You can work hard. You can study all the techniques. You can surround yourself with successful people. But if deep down you still feel small, insecure, or unworthy, that is what life will reflect back to you. Napoleon Hill said it clearly. The subconscious mind makes no distinction between the real and the imagined. It accepts as truth what you feel is truth. In other words, reality does not start outside. It starts inside you. Most people live in reactive mode. They observe what is, and from there, they allow their emotions to form. If the bank is empty, they feel poor. If there are no messages, they feel forgotten. If there are no results, they feel like failures. But that is not creation. That is repetition. Do you know what those who transform their lives do? First, they decide how they're going to feel. Then, they let the world follow. Their inner state is not a reaction. It is a declaration. And you can do the same. You can say, "Today, I feel abundant." Not because I see it in my account, but because I have planted it in my mind. Hill called this emotionalized autosuggestion. It is not enough to say it. You must feel it. The subconscious is like soil. It doesn't care what seed you plant. It only receives, cultivates, and delivers. So, what seed are you planting in your interior today? Fear, doubt, lack? Or are you planting a clear image of who you already are, even if no one else sees it yet? When you assume that image, when you breathe it, when you speak it, when you defend it, life is forced to align. Because the universe does not respond to what you ask for. It responds to your frequency. And your frequency is not your voice. It is your state. Many speak of abundance while vibrating in lack. Many ask for confidence while acting in fear. Many say, "I can," but inside they still feel they don't deserve. And that is what their world confirms for them. Not as punishment, as a mirror. Hill discovered that millionaires did not become rich and then feel secure. They felt secure and then became rich. So the real question is not, what do I want to achieve? The real question is, for what state do I want to live? Because when you decide your state, you have begun to change your destiny. Now you know your world won't change until you change your state. But the great question is, how do you assume a new identity? Napoleon Hill dedicated decades to answering this question and discovered a profound truth. Asterisk, you become what you think about repetitively. Whatever you hold in your mind with emotion, that is what you will attract. Therefore, the first step is not to act differently. The first step is to feel differently. And for that, you need two tools. Autosuggestion, emotional repetition. What is autosuggestion? It is the conscious act of implanting an image of yourself in your mind until your subconscious believes it. And here is the secret. It is not just about repeating phrases. It is about feeling those phrases until your body believes them. You can say, "I am successful" 1,000 times. But if you do it from doubt, from anxiety, from need, your mind will not accept it. But if you close your eyes, breathe deeply, and imagine yourself walking with confidence, speaking with clarity, acting with certainty, that state begins to install itself within you. Napoleon Hill recommended doing this in the morning and before sleeping. In those moments, the mind is open, receptive, malleable. And if every night, before closing your eyes, instead of reviewing your mistakes, you review your vision fulfilled, your subconscious will begin to work while you sleep. You will wake up different. You will move differently. And the world will begin to respond to you differently. The second tool is emotional repetition. It is not enough to do it once. It is not enough to do it only when you feel good. You must do it even when you doubt, even when it seems like nothing is changing, because that persistence is what molds your new self. You are creating a new identity, not from the outside, but from the inside. And everything external will inevitably follow that new image. So ask yourself, who do I decide to be starting today? What emotions will I cultivate even before I see results? Because that decision, repeated with intention and feeling, is what turns a possibility into a reality. There exists a silent error that millions of people commit every day, an error that seems harmless, but is secretly sabotaging their dreams. And it is this: they wait to see results before they believe. They wait to see money in the bank to feel prosperous. They wait to have success to feel secure. They wait for someone else to choose them to feel valuable. But let me tell you without flinching, that waiting is a trap. Napoleon Hill was clear. Belief in yourself is the starting point of all riches. He did not say, see to believe. He said, believe before you see. Because if you live waiting for proof, your mind is declaring that you do not yet have it. And that declaration, even if silent, is an order to your subconscious. And what does the subconscious do? It obeys, and it keeps everything you desire just a few steps out of reach. It is like telling the universe, give me first, and then I promise I will trust you. But creation doesn't work that way. It works in reverse. You trust first, then the universe responds. You decide your emotional state now, without evidence. Then the evidence arrives. Because, as Hill said, your faith is the foundation upon which your reality is built. And if your faith is tied to appearances, you will never grow beyond what you see. The world does not change because you want it to. It changes because you decide to feel different, even when nothing looks different. And therein lies the true power, in not needing the mirror to smile at you in order to start smiling at it. Because when you change your interior, the reflection, sooner or later, adjusts. This is the biggest mistake good, disciplined people with big dreams make. They want visible results before adopting the invisible identity. But the identity always comes first. So I ask you with total honesty, are you willing to live as if you already had it, even if no one else sees it yet? Or will you keep waiting for the world to confirm something you haven't yet decided to believe? An assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. Napoleon Hill. This is how the great men who transformed their destiny lived. But everyone at some point faces the same test. Reality has not yet changed, and the mind begins to doubt. Hill called this the silent test. It is not a fight against the world. It is a fight against your old assumptions. You have decided to feel abundant. You have started to move like someone who has already triumphed. But the bank is still the same. The circumstances have not yet responded. And at that point, many give up. They say, this isn't working. And they return to their old identity, just when a new one was about to materialize. But do you know what those who truly change their lives do? They persist. They persist in their vision. They persist in their emotion. They persist in their state, even when the world tells them the opposite. Hill said, asterisk, faith is not something you have. It is something you hold on to. It is the conscious decision to remain loyal to the invisible, even when the visible seems to scream the opposite. Imagine a sculptor in front of a block of stone. Every strike is small. Every feature is barely hinted at. At first, it seems like nothing is happening. But with patience, with persistence, with faith, the figure emerges. This is how your mind works. Every day, you persist in your new identity. Every time you choose your vision over your circumstance, you're sculpting a new you. Do not expect the world to applaud you at the beginning. Do not expect immediate proof, because this is not magic. This is law, and every law needs time to operate. What matters is not whether you have doubts. What matters is who you live from in spite of them. You can feel fear. You can feel resistance. But do not give them your identity. Return again and again to the state of the wish fulfilled. Because the more you persist, the more real that version of you becomes. Not by intensity, by consistency. And one day, without warning, the world will reflect what you have been sowing all along. And then you will understand. True faith does not shout. It whispers. And whoever persists in that whisper ends up hearing the echo of their dreams fulfilled. Look at your world. Look around you. Your financial situation, your relationships, your opportunities, your obstacles. Everything you see is not a cause. It is a reflection. Napoleon Hill was emphatic about this. The world you live in is a mirror of your state of consciousness. What you are experiencing today is not the result of what you did yesterday. It is the result of what you thought, believed, and felt to be true. Most people try to change their reality from the outside. They change jobs. They change partners. They change cities. But they do not change their identity. They do not change what they assume to be true about themselves. And that is why their reality repeats. The forms change, but the essence remains the same. Because no matter how many times you redesign your environment, if you do not redesign your mind, everything else will return to reflect the same thing. He'll call it the law of the mind dominated by faith. What you believe with faith becomes your objective reality. People think they live in an objective world, but in truth, they live in an interpreted world. Two people can live the same situation, and one feels powerful, while the other feels like a victim. Why? Because each one is projecting their own internal concept. One assumes he is capable, and everything confirms it. The other assumes he is destined to lose, and also finds evidence. It is like walking through a city with tinted glasses. It doesn't matter if the street is white. If your lenses are blue, you will see it blue. Your lenses are your consciousness. And if you do not change them, your entire world will be filtered by that invisible programming. The question is not, what is happening out there? The true question is, what am I projecting outward? If you assume money is scarce, life will show you scarcity. If you assume you are invisible, people will ignore you. If you assume you cannot, the universe will respect your decision. But if you assume you are valuable, worthy, capable, prosperous, then your world begins to mold itself according to that assumption. The power is not in what you do first. The power is in what you decide to be first. And then everything else arranges itself. There is something all truly successful men share. And it is not money. It is not knowledge. It is their energy upon entering a room. Napoleon Hill never tired of repeating it. The attitude with which you do something is more important than what you do, because your attitude is the language of your identity. The world hears your tone of voice, your way of walking, your silences, your pauses, long before it hears your words. So let me ask you, how does someone who already knows their value walk? How does someone who already feels rich breathe? How does someone who no longer needs to prove their worth respond? Elevating your standard of being does not mean showing off. It is not about pretending security. It is about acting with the silent dignity of one who already knows what they are worth. Hill saw it in Carnegie, in Edison, in Ford. All of them had an unbreakable self-concept. Even before success, they acted from a solid, defined identity. And what did that identity do? It attracted the right circumstances. Because life does not respond to your needs. It responds to your energy. Most live from the fear of losing. They speak with doubt. They walk with haste. They shrink in the presence of others. But those who already feel abundant walk with calm. They speak with intention. They show presence. They are not running after anything. They are allowing everything to come to them. Elevating your standard of being is asking yourself every day, how does the me that has already achieved my desire behave? And to live from that energy, not as an act, but as a silent affirmation. Hill said, the subconscious interprets your actions as instructions. So when you speak with clarity, when you decide with firmness, when you act with intention, your mind and your environment assume that this is normal for you. And when that becomes your new normal, your world transforms to match it. Every great change begins with a new story, but not the story you tell others. The story you repeat in silence when no one is listening. Napoleon Hill discovered that internal dialogue is the silent architect of reality. You are the result of your dominant thoughts. Not the ones you think once, but the ones you repeat every single day. And that is why the most powerful habit you can cultivate is that of rewriting your internal script. How to do it? Hill recommended a sacred moment, the nightly review. Before sleeping, do not lie down with the weight of failure, doubt, or fear. Do not allow your mind to rest in chaos. Instead, close your eyes and ask yourself, who was I today? Did I behave as the me I desire to be? Where can I improve my standard of being tomorrow? And then, imagine the day as you would have liked to live it. Review it mentally, but from success. Speak with clarity. Decide with firmness. Move with certainty. Relive that ideal day, and allow that image to be the last one to enter your subconscious. Why? Because while you sleep, your mind does not rest. It records, repeats, and strengthens the last emotion you gave it. And if that emotion was confidence, vision, gratitude, success, then your entire nervous system will begin to move in that direction. This is the simplest and most profound way to become someone new. You don't need complicated affirmations. You don't need grand rituals. You only need to repeat the emotion of your new identity until your body recognizes it as home. Because in the end, you do not attract what you desire. You attract what you are willing to feel is true. Rewrite your script every night, not as an act of denial, as an act of creation. Because if you do not rewrite your mind, the world will do it for you. And believe me, the story the world wants to give you looks nothing like the destiny you deserve. If something in you awakened during this message, if a part of you remembered that you were created for something greater, then do not ignore it. Respond to it. Because now you know, you are not waiting for results. You are embodying the cause. Your identity is the seed. Your emotion is the water. And persistence is the light that turns the invisible into visible. Napoleon Hill said it with clarity. Nothing can stop a man who is convinced of who he is. So when you leave this video, walk as if you have already won. Speak as if you already know it is done. Decide as if life is already conspiring in your favor. Because it is not about pretending. It is about remembering. Remembering what you already are in the invisible and living from there without asking for permission. If this message resonated with you, subscribe to the channel. But don't do it for us. Do it because here, we remember your power. Because here, we are here to help you become the version of you that no longer waits, but that already is. And before you go, don't leave without applying this. Because knowing it does not change your life. Using it does. Napoleon inspires.